On today's episode of the worst coin ever cast on YouTube, bring in the intro. All right, welcome back to Just Another Melt, blah, blah, blah intro. So, let's...
All right, welcome back to Just Another Melt on Just Another Melting Channel. That's right, just another guy on YouTube melting metal and hopefully making cool stuff with it as time goes on. Today's attempt is a small item. I'm attempting to cast a fob coin. So fob, in fact, that it says fob on one side and J.A.M on the other. Now, there is a bonus copper melt at the end of the video, very small, so stick around for that if you feel like it. Now, since I don't have a 3D printer, I decided to try to make a custom coin with a custom pattern on it, fob style. I purchased a 3D pen, I watched a series of tutorial videos from a channel called Printables, which I'll link in the description, and then I started experimenting. Basically what I came up with is drawing out 3 coin-sized discs and then joining them together using the 3D pen, like welding. After that, I drew the words on top of the coin. Now this yellow and blue coin is a proof of concept piece I did using the ABS filament that came with the pen while I was waiting for my PLA filament that I ordered to arrive. I wanted to be able to show what it looked like clearly on camera, and as you can see, the quote-unquote print lines are obviously very visible. However, Potent Printables also showed a way that you can smooth out any 3D penned creations using a wood burning kit. So I ordered one of those online, and when it finally came, I got it set up and started trying to smooth out my proof of concept coin. Now, the reason I'm using the proof of concept coin at first is because it shows up a lot better on camera with the bright color. All I'm using is a flat attachment that came with the wood burner to smooth out the print lines and the letters and the edge of the coin. Since this is just an experiment to see if it can be done and what kind of work would go into producing small coin-sized items for casting, I wasn't overly concerned with making it perfect even on the PLA coin. And you can see the difference between what's been smoothened out using the wood burner versus what's just been drawn without any modification. As part of this experiment, I did both sides of this coin differently, meaning on one side I smoothened out the coin surface with the wood burner before penning the letters on, and on the other side I penned the letters on first without modifying the coin surface and then tried to smoothen everything out together. I learned that it's much better to smoothen out the surface of the coin before adding on the letters. I'm also very aware of how many times I've said the word smooth or a variation thereof in this narrative. The side that says J.A.M is the side where I modified the surface of the coin first, and the side that says fob is the side I did not do so. You can see a little bit of difference in the surface finish. I did make the letters on the fob side a little thicker, and then on both sides I tried to add some draft to the lettering so that way the sand wouldn't stick in the smaller in-between parts of the letters. Hopefully that makes sense. Now that everything is finished and completed, let's get out to the garage, get the furnace fired up, and see if we can cast this bad boy. And by bad, I mean not good. Now, I did have a moment here where I messed up and put the wrong pattern into the flask to get it rammed up. I realized halfway through that I was using the ABS proof of concept coin and not the PLA coin that I spent more time on trying to make work. So I had to dump everything out, start it over. Wasn't too much of a setback, but I felt really, really stupid. The crucible I'm using for this melt is the second crucible I ever bought. I got it for the 3-part J.A.M Melt 10A through 10C video series I did last year, and this will be the final time that I use it. There's a hole near the top of it and some cracking on the side, and it's just time to retire it and send it to Crucible Heaven. And that sounds ridiculous, I know. Normally I'd have this drip pan I'm using spread across the table, but I was in a rush to get the melt done, so I didn't clean the table off, and that made it somewhat awkward. As a reminder, preheat everything, your tongs, your skimmer, your molds, all of them. A sudden flash of heat from contact with the molten metal or with the high heat of a crucible coming out of a furnace can cause a steam explosion, which in a worst case scenario will send molten metal flying. Look it up. There's a lot of videos on YouTube. I've watched a lot of them. It's just always better to be safe than to be sorry. And there it is, folks. The final pour from the second crucible that I bought. Thanks for everything, buddy.
I forgot how much I love the smell of burning petrol bond. Holy crap. Look at that. I made a fob coin. Chickadee, check yourself before you wreck yourself. All right.
I'm going to go ahead and mute this clip and talk over it. Mainly because I was quoting a bunch of random rap lyrics that I felt expressed the happiness and giddiness I was feeling at the fact that this actually worked. I could not believe it had worked. I was really excited. I kind of babbled a little bit, so I'm just going to cut that out and talk over it. But I am very excited that it worked. And it's opened up the possibility for me of doing other things related to this, which is what I want to do. I want to create stuff. As far as cleanup goes, all I'm doing is using a wire wheel to get it clean, and then I'm going to use an angle grinder with the flat disc on it and just try to sand down the sides, get it smooth. At one point I did have it clamped in the bench vise and I was trying to clean up the edges that way and it wasn't working, so I had to fob rig it. I put the angle grinder into the bench vise and kind of used it as its own sanding device that I could move the coin around. Hopefully that makes sense. If not, you're about to see it, so it's all good. Bonus, 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 copper melt. All right. So this is the very first clay graphite crucible I ever bought. I received it on March 9th of 2021 and first used it in J.A.M Melt number 5, no relation to Mambo. That's a video title. I used it to melt copper on J.A.M Melt 12, so it's still got some frozen copper inside. I threw in the copper ingot that I have from J.A.M 12 and decided, you know what, this is the last time I'm using this, let's send this crucible out with one final good melt. For the record, I am aware that the new lifting tongs I made are too big for this crucible, so I had to go and find the old lifting tongs I made for this crucible because I ended up putting it back in the furnace to try to pull out more copper. But yeah, the problem was remedied. I got it handled, y'all.
Just this last bit out. That's what she said. Oh, come on. last use of this, my very first Crucible.
And that will do it, folks. This has been Just Another Melt on Just Another Melting Channel. My very first attempt at casting a fob coin in a very fob style. I'd say I hope you learned something, but I know you didn't. But at the very least, I hope you were entertained. Hope you got a kick out of it. I will see you on the next video. Like and subscribe, blah, 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 algorithm. Peace out.